Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Cloud Academy's platform demo. My name is Mark Guiditta, and I'm the Director of Sales here at Cloud Academy. I have the unique opportunity to work with some of our large enterprise customers today, and I also, on a daily basis, am talking to clients that are looking to adopt training at scale for their technology teams. And I'm looking forward to sharing with you how our platform works and can help bridge that gap. A quick high-level overview of what I'm going to cover today. We're going to dive right into the demo, actually. I'm going to walk you through what the platform looks like from an administrative standpoint, as well as what the end user sees when they're actually going through and consuming content within the Cloud Academy platform. Additionally, I plan to weave in some actual customer stories and use some real-world examples of how our customers are using the platform today. And I highly encourage you to think about that in the way that you would potentially utilize the Cloud Academy platform within your organization. I do encourage questions. My colleague will be monitoring the questions, and you can add them into the chat box there. And I'm happy to answer them on the fly if they're related to the topic that we're talking about. But I would ensure you that I will be happy to spend time at the end to make sure that we answer all of your questions. All right, let's get started. So welcome to the Cloud Academy platform. So what you're seeing here is the administrative console on my demo account here called Acme Corp. On the left-hand side of the screen, you're going to see how we build out the platforms for enterprise organizations. In this organizational tab, you'll see here that we'll have our main organization, and you can build out specific sub-teams within your organization. So if you think about a modern IT organization and how they're building out sub-teams and teams within their organization, you're gonna have different pillars that report up to your CIO or CTO. So you can think of building this out, mirroring the hierarchy within your organization. So thinking about IT shared services, infrastructure, architecture, service management, application development, research and development, operations are just some of the examples that I see customers building this out. This can mirror your hierarchy, but the goal here is to build out your organizational structure and assign out team managers over the teams that they're responsible for. When I'm working with enterprise customers and customers really across the globe, they have really three key pillars that they're looking to do within their organization as far as deploying a training program at scale. Career progression. Career progression is one of the #1 things that I'm talking about with organizations today is how do we have a junior level person come into our organization and build out a clear path for them to get to that next milestone within the organization. So we see companies today building out the platform in alignment to specific job roles. Additionally, when I'm talking to organizations, sometimes there are specific certification initiatives that are important to their organization. You can also build out and structure your organization based on specific outcomes that you're looking to achieve. So in this case, it could be achieving one of the big 3 cloud provider certifications and building out and structuring your organization in that way. We'll work with you on a regular basis to fine tune what would be best fit for your organization. So these are just some very high level examples of how this works. On the left-hand side of the screen here, you're going to see a training section as well as an intelligence section and our content engine. So really quickly, I'll cover at a high level what these are, and then I'll walk you through how to actually assign out an assessment, a training plan, after I provide you with some context. So after we structure your organization within the Cloud Academy platform, the first thing that we do as a best practice is to start out with an assessment. It's really a skills gap analysis. It's one of the top 3 most desirable items within 2021 from a learning and development standpoint. It allows you to baseline your organization, get an understanding of your current competencies, and it allows Cloud Academy and my team to work with you hand in hand to build out training plans that are in alignment to your gaps and your target milestones. So those milestones could be related to certifications as mentioned, or just giving individuals a structured plan based on their job role within your organization. After taking the initial assessment, your organization will have a skill profile, and I'll dive deeper into what that is a little bit later on. But skill profiles are an operating system for managing your talent inside of your organization. So we built a mechanism that tracks the outcomes So anytime somebody is consuming content within the Cloud Academy platform from a quiz, exam, or a hands-on lab standpoint, you'll be able to see how their skills are progressing and what your competencies are for each of the content areas that are covered within the platform. We do also cover analytics, so you'll be able to track in real time and over time as individuals are consuming content on the platform and where they're spending their time. All of this can be exported through our reports. And then lastly, in the administrative console here, you'll see our content engine. Content engine is a software suite that I will cover towards the end of our presentation. It will actually allow you to tailor the entire Cloud Academy platform to your organization. So many ways that I see customers using content engine successfully is building their own labs within the Cloud Academy platform. So you can do that a couple of different ways. One could be taking one of our existing labs and tailoring it to your specific requirements. Additionally, you can also create labs from scratch that mirror a specific project that you're working on. Content Engine really allows you to build and tailor anything within the platform. So quizzes, exams, hands-on labs, you can build in your own training plans, and it basically allows you to customize the platform and even add in your own custom resources. So really any sort of static file, think of a PowerPoint, a PDF, a video, and integrating that within your learning journey, and even linking out to internal content. And then lastly, we also have integrations with SCORM, so you can add in your own SCORM content. From the end user standpoint, this is the end user dashboard. What you're seeing here is any activity that an individual has spent on the platform. Once they're assigned out an assessment, you'll be able to see that here. They'll also be able to track their completed content within the Cloud Academy platform. They'll be able to see the training plans that are assigned to them. We'll dive a little deeper into the importance of a training plan. And you can also bookmark specific content that may be important to you inside of your job role. Additionally, inside of our content library, I'll quickly cover this, and we will actually dive into a real learning path later. But we just added career paths to the Cloud Academy platform. So what this allows you to do is, if you're inside of one of these roles, and I'll use the Cloud Architect for an example here, this allows you to choose a training plan that is in alignment to where you're at. So if you're an individual just getting started, you can start with the fundamentals, or if you have experience in one of the public cloud platforms using AWS as an example here, we have a starter training plan, also an intermediate and proficient, and then also a role-based assessment based on the specific job roles. Additionally, we break out our content by specific categories. So looking at all of our categories here, we do cover AWS, Azure, and GCP. We also have Alibaba. Some of the trends that I'm hearing within the marketplace is a focus on big data, as well as DevOps and containerization. So when you click into a specific area in our library, you'll see that we break out our content in a variety of ways. So it could be by learning path. So a learning path is actually a container of courses, hands-on labs, quizzes, and exams. So it allows you to follow a guided path, whether it's skills-based, so maybe an introduction to containers, or in this case, building, deploying, and running containers in production, or it could be towards a specific certification. So for example, the CKAD here, the Certified Kubernetes Application Developer. If you go through this learning path, you'll go through 4 courses, you consume 2 hands-on labs, there will be 2 exams that help you prepare to pass the certification, and there's also some lab challenges built within that certification prep. All right, so now I'm going to walk you through exactly how we would deploy Cloud Academy within an organization. So once we organize your organization and get your team structured and built within the platform, we'll start working with you to assign out assessments to particular teams. This is the view of how you can track how the assessments are doing within your organization. If there's a pulse here, that means that the assessment is live. This would show you that an assessment is complete. It's really easy to start a new assessment cycle. You can do this from a theoretical standpoint, so looking at knowledge standpoint from a multiple choice A, B, C, D answer type, or you can do it through a hands-on lab. So really testing your practitioner skill sets. Not only can you answer questions about these technologies, but you're also able to work with them hands-on. One thing to point out is that all of our hands-on labs can actually be consumed within our content library. So if you go to our content library, all of our labs on these particular technologies will be listed under the specific platforms. most organizations that I'm talking to, one of the core things that they're trying to do is build cloud fluency. So I always recommend starting out with the basic cloud knowledge evaluation. It's a short skills gap analysis is going to tell us where your teams need to start within the platform. If you do have a platform of focus within your organization, you can also choose them from a preliminary evaluation standpoint. Or if you're working with programming languages or other emerging technologies listed here, you're more than welcome to choose which hands-on lab would be best to start with. And the beauty of working with my team is that we'll guide you and get a deep understanding of what your specific outcomes that you're looking to achieve, and we'll guide you on what the best practice would be based on your requirements. Once you choose the actual exam or hands-on lab that you want to assign out, you would then choose the team to assign it out to. So you can see the 3 pillars here that were in my organizational structure. So this is listing out the entire organization and the teams that we built. You can also assign this assessment out to specific certification initiatives. So where this could be really well suited is to see if somebody's actually ready to go on and take a certification with one of the public cloud providers, and knowing that they can dive right into the AWS Solutions Architect Associate, for example, without having to start with a cloud practitioner. And then same for Azure or GCP, knowing if they need to start with a fundamental course before diving into something certification specific. And then also you can assign these out to a job role. So if you have a security engineer or a data engineer that you want to test their basic cloud fluency, you'd have the opportunity to do so. For this example here, I'm going to go ahead and choose a data engineer. This here is asking you if you want your team managers to also consume that assessment. And then from here, you click confirm and review. So now the system's going to send an email to the individuals that are a part of this team, encouraging them to get started on the platform and consume their assessment. And then you and the team manager who are assigning this out will receive weekly progress reports summarizing your team's progress within the assessment. So this is bringing me to the actual team within the Cloud Academy platform now. So the team that I chose is actually already on a training plan. But I'm going to take a step back and show you what the end user would see when they are actually assigned out an assessment within the Cloud Academy platform. So in this case, this individual, Michael here, he's assigned out the 3 public cloud platform preliminary evaluations. Our team does a really great job at letting individuals know. And when we onboard organizations, we host an end user webinar, just like we're discussing here today, on how to use the platform. And we explain to individuals that this assessment is going to help us baseline your skills and allow you to track your skill growth rate over time. So if, in this case, it's on the public three public cloud platforms. After consuming this assessment, you're going to come up with a score based on your knowledge in those areas. And as you consume content, you'll be able to see how your skills are progressing over time. The results are going to assist your team manager and also my team in working with individuals inside of your organization on what would be the most relevant training plan to assign to you. And we build an item response theory into these questions. So it's really important that if an individual doesn't know something, that they don't guess. It makes it much easier for us to assign that fit for purpose training plan based on their actual skill sets. It's really easy to start the assessment. You simply would click start here. And from there, the individual would start the assessment. And then you as a team manager, you can come into your organization, you can go under the actual assessments, and you can actually track in real time how your teams are performing within the assessment. I'll use this AWS assessment as an example here. So you'll see the assessed skills here within the platform. AWS is covered. You'll see the particular domains that were covered in the assigned assessment. You'll see the score for your team. So in this case, the security engineers, they scored an average score of 61 out of 100, and they're all at the beginner level. On the right here, there's a knowledge graph based on the key areas where you're most proficient. You can also look at this from an individualized standpoint to see how each individual did within the platform. And then you can also view their individualized skill profiles. So after the individuals complete their initial assessment, inside of their dashboard, they're going to have their own skill profile. Skill profiles are a really important mechanism to be able to track the outcomes of training. So we find time after time that organizations want to track utilization, but they were also asking us, how do we know that our students are acquiring knowledge, and how do we track that skill growth rate over time? And that's why we built skill profiles. You'll have an overall skill profile score based on a scoring mechanism between 0 and 1,000. It's broken out by competencies between beginner, intermediate, and advanced. There's also a leaderboard here on your skill profile to add another gamification element to the platform, so you can see who you stack up to within your organization from a skills standpoint. On the left here, we break out your skill profiles by platforms, by particular domains, concepts, software tools. Really any piece of content that is on Cloud Academy is tied to a skill profile. Where this becomes very powerful is if you had an area where you wanted to develop skills, say that was Docker or Kubernetes, you can click here to prove your skills. So you may actually have skills, but the system might be saying not available at this time. That just means that you haven't taken an assessment in this particular area. So we give you the opportunity to prove your skills. And if you click this prove your skill, it will recommend quizzes and hands-on labs, as well as exams that are related to Docker. If you click browse training here, that will take you to the area inside of our library where the training is for Docker. So this makes it really easy to understand where you're at from a concept software tool standpoint as mentioned, and be able to fill in your skill gaps at a rapid pace. Organizationally, under the intelligence section, after you take that initial assessment, this is where you're going to see your skill profile for your organization. You can segment this differently based on the technologies that your organization uses. Within our demo environment here, Acme Corporation is a multi-cloud organization. They're using all 3 public cloud platforms, and it looks like they have built up some cloud fundamental knowledge, and they have some users that are power users within the Cloud Academy platform, and have some just going into the intermediate skill level. Right here, you're going to see where the top platforms are inside of your organization. On the right here, you're going to see how your skills are distributed between beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And then here, you're going to be able to track the week over week skill percentage growth rate as individuals are consuming content within the platform. So this is in real time showing you the outcomes of individuals actually consuming the content on Cloud Academy. As an administrator, you'll be able to see this entire administrative console. If you are a specific team manager of one of the teams that I had mentioned, you'll be able to see the skill profiles for the teams that you manage within the organization. Where I see organizations using this really effectively is if you're getting ready to start a program or a project on AWS, for example. You can see all the platform domains within AWS. If that program was going to be focused on security, this is a great way to start prioritizing individuals for projects within your organization and building some internal SMEs and really trusting, not only trusting, but also validating that they have the skills to lead projects in particular areas. So you can see here, Ellen would likely be someone that you want to lean on to lead a project within AWS security. After we build out your initial skill profile, that's when we can work with you to start building and assigning out training plans. This is the outcome side of training plans. So similar to what I showed you from an assessment standpoint, the pulsing means that the training plan is active. If it's checked off, that means that the training plan has been completed. We allow you to assign out these training plans. So training plan was built, simply put, making training available is really not an effective way to achieve digital transformation at scale. What we found early on before having training plans is that if you just give access to an entire library of content, it's not really going to lead to a positive outcome. You'll have folks that don't know where to go, don't know where to start. Additionally, you'll have some folks that are super power users and they're using the platform, and then you just won't have folks who are using the platform at all. It's because they don't have a clear plan from the organization or building a personal clear plan of what they want to accomplish and setting goals for them on a regular basis. So we built training plans to solve for that. Training plans are the mechanism of either assigning out content by job role or specific outcomes that you're looking to achieve with weekly time commitments. And they're comprised of one or more of those learning paths that I had shared earlier on. You can also see how your teams are tracking as they're going through training plans. You'll see the start date and due date here. And then similar to how we had signed out an assessment, this is how you would assign out a training plan. Similar to that assessment, we'll look at the job roles here. I'm going to choose a security engineer for this example. We have some out-of-the-box training plans that you can choose from. And if you're looking at some of these training plans that are already built and developed, you can choose from any of these. What we highly recommend is working with my team hand in hand to actually build these out with you based on the outcomes that you're looking to achieve. And you can also create your own custom training plans. So either on your own or with my team support, we can gather some of our subject matter experts or individuals from our team that are experts in the areas of your focus and building out training plans per team or individual. I'll use this Cloud Architect for AWS training plan, for example. This is the screen where you'd actually assign out that content. So as a team manager, this is you delegating to your team. This training is important to you. You can add an objective here on the right-hand side, and you can ask them to spend a weekly time commitment on the platform. Or you can particularly choose a due date based on if you have an initiative that you want to get done by August 31st, you can assign that out and the weekly time commitment will automatically adjust. As a best practice, and from what I see in organizations that are using this most effectively, is actually dedicating time on a weekly basis for the individuals to actually go into the Cloud Academy platform. So physically allowing them to block off time on their work calendar and integrating training into their work schedule. When you're assigning this out, you'll see the time commitment, you'll see the start date, how many working days it will take your individuals to complete this 51-hour learning path. And the results of being assigned on a training plan, any organization within Cloud Academy that is assigned a training plan, they actually end up averaging about 3 hours per week. As a best practice and just really start driving those healthy learning behaviors and building that learning culture, I typically recommend any new customer to start with 30 minutes or an hour per week. In some cases, customers are afraid to assign out content. But what we find as a best practice is if you start out with a limited amount of content that you're asking people to do on a weekly basis, this number is really, really easy to achieve once you go into the Cloud Academy platform. If you consume one hands-on lab, you may even spend more than 30 minutes on the platform. So just to start building that culture of learning within your organization, I recommend starting with a low time period. And then once you click review and confirm, it will review what you're assigning out. You'll see the learning paths that are incorporated. It will ask you if you also want to assign this to the team managers, and then you would click confirm and assign. This is bringing me back to the organization tab for the team that I just assigned this training plan out to. You can actually sequence out training plans. So in this case, this training plan is loading up. The team was already assigned a training plan, and you can also sequence out more training plans over a year's time frame. And we'll work with you on a regular basis to ensure that the training plans are fit for what your individuals need to learn on a regular basis. In fact, our customer success managers will also meet with you on a monthly and quarterly basis to monitor your training plan progress and help you drive your training programs. You'll be able to see the individuals and team managers that are a part of this training plan. The really beautiful thing about assigning a training plan as well is being able to see how your skills are progressing over time. You can see from an onboarding standpoint if the team had completed the specific assessment that was assigned, and then any training history that this team has completed. On the individual's dashboard, they'll also be able to see the training plan that is assigned to them. So if you assigned out 2 hours per week, or even 30 minutes or 1 hour, whatever you end up deciding on, you'll have the opportunity to add that weekly reminder to your calendar, and they can download that to their calendar directly from the platform. It's really easy to pick up on a training plan where they left off. So in this case, this individual has already completed 2 of these learning paths within the training plan. So if Michael clicked resume here, he would start off on this serverless Python web development for AWS learning path. You can have multiple training plans assigned to you if you have multiple organizational initiatives going on at a time. And then you also have the opportunity to self-assign a training plan. In some cases, individuals know what they need to learn better than their managers do because they're working with these technologies from a hands-on standpoint. So we also give individuals the opportunity to self-assign a training plan in addition to what the organization wants you to train on, or to just self-assign a training plan in alignment to what you want to learn on the platform. There is a training plan leaderboard for when your manager assigns out a training plan. So adding another gamification layer to the platform. And just because you're assigned a training plan, we're not limiting you to only consume the content in there. You can use the search functionality. So if you had a specific training initiative on security, you can type in security here. If you go to our search box here, you'll see all of our content that's related to security. You can look at learning paths that are built on security. So this contains courses, hands-on labs, quizzes, and exams. You can also look at courses, hands-on labs based on the security topic. So where this becomes really powerful is if you're working on a project in real time, or if you need to learn something in that just-in-time fashion, You can do a quick search of that content within the platform, and you can consume whatever content in our content library that you'd like. As individuals are consuming that content from their dashboard, you'll also be able to track how well they're doing inside of their training plan. So I will walk you through what one of these looks like, and I'll use the security engineer as an example. So in this case, you'll be able to see the members that are inside of this training plan. This is the security engineer Azure starter training plan that we've assigned out, and it's assigned out to our developers on Azure. You see the content duration, the working days. You see the team's overall progress. You can make adjustments to the due date if needed here, or add in specific objectives. You can see how each individual is progressing through their training plan. So in this case, some of the folks are really, really ahead. In some cases, some folks are behind. What this could be reflective of is if you have a new hire inside of the organization and they're getting added to a training plan that the team is going through, so they can start learning those similar objectives that their team members are working on. And you can see if you're behind, you also have the opportunity to nudge individuals. So what this allows you to do is just send a gentle reminder to get started on your training. So in this case, saying you have not started on your security engineer, you can customize this message. It's basically asking if there's anything I can do to help you get started. You'll be able to see the content that's inside of the training plan. In this case, it's one learning path. You'll be able to predictably upskill your team. So what that means is we'll tell you what your skill knowledge and skill profile should be after individuals consume that content. So allowing you to predictably upskill your teams at scale. So upon completion of this learning path, your teams will have an overall skill profile score of 327. And from an Azure standpoint, you'll be in the intermediate level. If you need to make any changes to your training plans, you'll have the opportunity to do so here. And then we also recommend training plans that are related to the one you're consuming. In addition to tracking training plan analytics, we also track general analytics. So this is how much time is being spent and where is that time being spent within the Cloud Academy platform. There is a leaderboard here, third method of gamification within the platform on overall time spent. You can click into each of one of these learning activities and track how well your teams are progressing inside of these activities. For organizations that I work with that are having specific certification initiatives, they find this exam learning activity finder really helpful. So if I type in certification here, let's see, I'll use this GCP data engineer as an example here. You'll be able to see all of your team members who have completed this certification prep for the GCP data engineer within the platform. You'll see how much time is being spent. You'll see how many times they've started and completed and passed this exam. So this is a really great way to really protect the end user from going on and either failing or passing the GCP data engineer exam, because you'll know exactly how they're doing on the practice tests. So if Ellen here has taken the exam 3 times and passed with a 78, we typically recommend a much higher score than this. We recommend at least an 85 to a 90% before going on and taking that exam with GCP. But this is a really great way to protect Ellen from failure. You can go ahead and encourage her to go and take the practice exam a couple more times, and these exams will rotate out the questions as well. You can also export reports out of the platform, so any training activity and member usage, you can download these as a CSV. You can import them into any data lake or area where you'd like to store that data. And then lastly, on the administrative dashboard, I'm going to walk you through Content Engine. Content Engine is the ability to create your own content and also edit existing content within the Cloud Academy platform. So another area where I see organizations using this effectively, I'm thinking of a data analytics company that I work with today. They have a specific software product that runs on the public cloud, and they actually have internal training that they built and developed that supports the internal products that they build. So they can actually upload that content onto Cloud Academy, build out questions, and build in certification prep for their individuals within their organization based on their own content. Through custom resources, this is where you can upload specific files to the platform. So any type of file that is listed here, and you can also hyperlink out to content. We also allow you to upload SCORM content. And one of the favorite end user features that I see is the ability to create or modify your own hands-on labs. So we give you the opportunity to build labs on AWS, Azure, and GCP. So you can either create a lab from scratch using our pre-existing steps or building in your own steps, and then also clone existing labs. So if you were working on a particular lab and you wanted to add additional lab step, you'd have the opportunity to do so. When I walk you through what a hands-on lab looks like, I'll walk you through what those steps look like, so you can get a better understanding of how we build those out. All right, so moving back to the end user view, inside of the training library, I want to walk you through a learning path. I also do want to point out that we do list our upcoming content. So this is all publicly available on our website. You can look at our training library. So if you're not a customer today and you have some interest, you can just go to cloudacademy.com/library and have the opportunity to view all of this content. And then also we give you the opportunity to see what content is up and coming. So you can see what was just released. Additionally, you can also see what is coming soon from an AWS, Azure, GCP, and other emerging areas that we are adding specific content to the platform around. And as soon as this content is available, it will automatically appear within your training library. So just a quick recap of what you're seeing in your library here is content by career paths, content by specific categories. So if you're just getting started with the cloud, you can look at cloud computing fundamentals or business management. In some cases, I work with organizations where they have real use case associate vice presidents within an organization that are talking about positioning cloud services to their potential customers, and they want to give them that baseline fundamental knowledge on those topics before actually going into those presentations. So in the business management section, you can see content around benefits of getting started with the cloud or cloud adoption framework for business teams or executive teams, so they can get to speaking that common language as an organization. Organizations that are adopting the cloud that take the best approach are building cloud fluency across their entire enterprise, and then building out career paths or certification initiatives based on the outcomes that they're looking to achieve, aligning to the particular programs and projects that they're working on. Additionally, if you added any content to your platform through Content Engine, you'll be able to see that content there. I'm going to walk through an example from an AWS standpoint, and I'm going to click into our learning paths here. So this would be any sort of learning path within the Cloud Academy platform that's focused on AWS. So we have certifications here. We have all the AWS certifications covered within the Cloud Academy platform. Also, from a foundational services standpoint, you can see most popular amongst all Cloud Academy users, and then all the content within Cloud Academy. If you did take a step back and you clicked into AWS, we have different stripes as well, so making it really easy to learn what you'd like to learn. So getting started with AWS, certifications, if you're getting ready to go through a migration, these are some really great pieces of content that our content team is building and developing that's related to migration and transfer, and all that content will be listed there. As I mentioned before, you can also consume this content on the fly. So if you really liked our hands-on labs, or if you like to approach learning from a doing standpoint, we give you the opportunity to consume our labs as many times as you'd like. From a learning path standpoint, I'm going to walk you through one of our learning paths, and I'm going to focus on a certification, one that we actually just recently updated. So the Solutions Architect Professional Cert for AWS. This is an advanced learning path. We highly recommend already having the Solutions Architect Associate as a prerequisite, and it's one of the 2 professional level certifications within AWS. We'll give you an overview of what's covered inside of this learning path, and upon completion, you'll receive a certificate of excellence. A lot of enterprise companies use this as a badging system internally. We also allow for CPE to be calculated when you're consuming content. So some of the big 4 companies that we work with, this is really helpful for them to be able to track CPEs. If your organization tracks those as well. And then also publishing your certificate of excellence on LinkedIn to validate your knowledge in particular areas. As you're scrolling through the learning path here, this is where you actually would get started. So we make it really simple. In this case, this is based on an outcome that's geared towards a certification. So you'd follow along with these steps inside of the learning path, and at the end, there will be a final exam to prepare you to pass this certification. And similar with the skills-based learning path, it's built on a learn, do, and validate model. So you're going to learn in courses, you're going to validate your knowledge with knowledge checks along the way based on the topics you're learning. You're going to go into hands-on labs to validate the skills you're learning in these courses. And then at the end, there will be an exam that is going to, if it's skills-based, most of our certification learning paths are skills-based as well. So we're not only just teaching you how to pass the certification, but also giving you the ability to develop skills in that particular area. So a skills-based learning path, the exam, in this case, if this was for an AWS, fundamentals of AWS, this final exam will just validate that you've proficiently passed and understand the fundamentals of AWS. All right, so I'm going to scroll back up to the top here, and I'm going to start with a course that leads into a lab so I can give you an understanding of how our courses are structured and broken out.
Hello and welcome to this course.
So in this case, our instructor, Stuart Scott, is going to do an introduction to this course. And you'll see here, we break out the modules into consumable bite-sized pieces. So individuals aren't sitting through hours and hours worth of content. In this case, if an individual had 20 minutes, they can actually complete this entire course. There will be an overview of what you're going to learn. There is a transcript that you can follow along with what Stuart is saying as he's delivering this. You have the opportunity to get in touch with him by sending an email to support@Cloud Academy. In other of his courses, it does recommend you can connect with him on LinkedIn as well. Our instructors are really keen to help students. So if you had questions about their particular content, you can connect with them on social media as well. You have the ability to speed up the content and slow it down. You also have the ability to use subtitles if you choose. As you consume the content, you'll automatically move into the next step inside of the learning path. In this case, it would be one of our hands-on labs. So in parallel, as I'm pulling up this lab, I'm just going to quickly go back to our content library and walk you through the different types of labs that we have. And I'll use this example from an AWS standpoint. So a general hands-on lab is going to be a guided training material that is going to help you achieve a particular outcome with detailed lab steps and instructions. So think of basically having a cheat sheet of what to do in the environment. This is great for learning a brand new service within AWS and following along with screenshots and text-based instructions on what to complete in the environment. But one key thing that we do differently, unlike other organizations, is we actually validate these labs. So it's even after you complete a guided lab, we're validating back to your skill profile, so you're gaining knowledge in those particular areas and validating completion of the labs. Our hands-on lab challenges are structured a little differently. So instead of giving you detailed steps or a cheat sheet on what to complete in the environment, this is giving you an outcome-based scenario. So you can see examples like developer tools challenge, or here's a code red, break fix type of scenario. We also have a solutions architect associate certification challenge. This is giving a student an opportunity to really test their skill sets in an environment with no instructions. There's just an outcome to achieve, and they're going to be assessed based on best practices on how well they're able to accomplish those tasks. That will heavily also affect your skill profile, so validating your hands-on skills on these topical areas. The last way that we run labs is from a lab playground standpoint. So instead of having a particular outcome in an environment that you're looking to achieve, I'll use a SageMaker notebook as an example here. This is a really popular machine learning tool. So another area that I'm hearing a lot from enterprise customers is that they want to start adopting machine learning and AI. So maybe you don't have a specific scenario in mind that you want to be challenged on, or you just want to go into the environment and actually practice that particular skill in SageMaker. This is going to give you 2 hours in the environment. It allows you to choose from sample notebooks to learn about what is most important to you without any particular outcome. So just giving you free range in the SageMaker notebook to learn specific skills for machine learning in that case. So just spinning right back to the lab, this is one of our guided labs that was incorporated in that learning path. It's really easy to start the lab. You simply click Start Lab. I'm going to open the environment in a new tab here. So you'll see the AWS console. This is the same AWS console that your students would be working on in their real environments. The username will be student. I'll copy the password here. So in real time, it's spinning up the AWS Management Console. This is, again, the same console that you'd be working in. This is on Cloud Academy student account. So there's no need to have student accounts, or there's no need to have playground environments within your organization or sandboxes. We provide these. There's no risk of individuals leaving open these environments. They'll automatically shut down when the lab timer ticks off. So you don't have to worry about extra bills from the public cloud providers. If somebody makes a mistake in environment, it's risk-free. The instructions here in this guided lab were allowing me to open the console and copying the username and password, and I'm logging into the environment. And then you go into the steps of the lab. In this case, it's giving me an introduction and it's telling me some of the items that I'll need to do before starting the lab. And once I have those done, I would actually go into the next step of actually creating a customer master key. So you'd follow along with these detailed instructions and screen-based screenshots of the environment, and then you'd actually go in and complete these within the AWS console. You can see at the end of the lab, you can also validate and check. So we built a proprietary software that talks to AWS. In this case, it's telling me that I did not create the CMK. So it's telling me that I've actually failed this lab. But when students actually complete the steps, they'll be able to validate that they've completed this lab. After you complete the lab, you'll move through the rest of the courses. In some cases, there will be resources and webinars. In some cases, if customers have really aggressive certification goals, we actually, inside of our learning paths here, we just published a learning path that's geared towards acing the AWS Solutions Architect. This one's in regard to the associate. So this is something that you can consume with webinar-based office hours with our instructions. That's purely just focused on how to pass that AWS exam. So sometimes we'll include those webinars within the learning path here. But in this case, for the Solutions Architect Professional, the last step is to complete that certification exam prep. All right. So this is walking me through what I'm actually going to see and consume as I go through this exam within the Cloud Academy portal. One thing that I would like to point out, as you can see here, we do have a mobile app on Android and iOS, so you can consume all of our content on the mobile device. So our videos, as well as our certification prep exams and quizzes, can be consumed on your mobile device. We also have a complete offline mode. So if you did not have access to internet or Wi-Fi, when we get back to getting on the road and traveling again, you'd have the opportunity to, if you're on a subway or on a train, commuting, you'd have the opportunity to download those courses, view them in offline, and as soon as you came back online, your progress would be pulled into the analytics on the platform. All right. So this is an exam prep for the Solutions Architect Professional. In this case, it's asking me to choose 2 answers on this first question. I'm quickly going to answer some questions at random throughout the exam because each part of the exam is covering a particular domain. So giving you the opportunity to see how we track the outcomes and what the results look like. In some cases, it will ask you to select 3 answers. If you've ever taken an AWS exam, this is pretty common. And when you're all set, you can submit your exam. Upon completion of the exam, you'll see how your skill profile is affected. You'll see your overall score based on your correct, skipped, and wrong answers. It will tell you which areas were assessed as you consume this exam. So it makes it really easy to go in and fill in your gaps. So if you've completed this entire learning path in its entirety, and I'll scroll down a little bit here so you can see the domains that are covered, you can make it really easy for yourself to go in and fill in your gaps on the domains where you're lacking versus having to take that content all over. Additionally, at the bottom here, we give you a detailed review of the correct, wrong, and skipped answers. So you'll see there's a detailed explanation. In many cases, we'll actually link out to underlying documentation from the providers themselves. So the last thing I'm quickly going to cover, I know when I'm walking through the Cloud Academy platform, lots of individuals or even on these webinars, they're like, hey, I would really love to try this out for my team. So there is a way that we just created for you to actually go through an assessment of your team. see where your skill gaps are, and actually try out the platform for 7 days. So when you go to the Cloud Academy website, I will walk you through how to get there. Simply go to cloudacademy.com. In this For Business section, we'll give you the opportunity to click there. And under For Business here, you're going to see Start Free Team Assessment. This will bring you to this page here. And if you type in your information, you can click Assess Now. And this will actually allow you to invite yourself plus 5 additional members to the platform. If you'd like, we can get in touch with you and walk you through exactly how to do it, but we'll give you a look and feel of actually how you work with Cloud Academy and where your skills are at today. Additionally, we also have a try demo section within the platform. So if you wanted to explore around any of the features within our management console that I shared with you today, if you wanted to see what it's like to assign out a training plan, or if you wanted to dive into the skill profiles, if you go to the enterprise overview and you click try demo here, again, just on our basic website, click for business, you can go to try demo here. And one more quick thing around our career paths. This is something that we have just added to the platform. These are a really amazing feature. A lot of my customers are actively asking for building career ladders or career path progression programs for their associates. So if you were a cloud architect, you can actually click into Cloud Architect. If you wanted to learn the fundamentals, or if you wanted to get platform specific based on advanced, beginner, or proficient, basically, you can click on one of these. And similar to how we were signing up a training plan before, you can actually just assign this directly to your team. And you also can explore how it works. So say, welcome to training plans. It will walk you through that. You'll get the weekly updates. How do they differ from Learning Path? So Learning Path is that container of courses, hands-on labs, quizzes, and exams to help you on job roles or certifications. And then a training plan is basically piecing together one or more learning path with weekly time commitments for your team. So really building a plan for your organization rather than just simply making training available. You can learn at your own pace. You can choose the date that you want to assign that out and complete it by, and then you'll get those weekly reports to stay on track. All right, so that wraps up the Cloud Academy demo platform webinar today. I did want to give the opportunity to answer some questions. So as I mentioned, my colleague had dropped a couple of questions in the chat box for me that individuals have been asking. So the first one was, how can I try this out for my team? So again, just really quickly, if you go to our regular website and you click on the For Business, there will be the opportunity to go through this assessment. I would highly encourage it. Even if you just wanted to test your team skills today, it will allow you to fully use the Cloud Academy platform. Someone asked about the Solutions Architect Professional. So that was one of our learning paths that I walked you through in the live demo. So it was probably one of those live questions that I mentioned. So that learning path is geared towards helping you achieve the Solutions Architect Professional cert. We actually just updated this. So this is a really great advanced learning path within the Cloud Academy platform. Let's see, another question here is someone was asking more particularly about the AZ900 to see if we had a similar webinar learning path like we did for the Solutions Architect. We actually have a live webinar coming up, and something that I'll point out, make everyone scroll to the bottom here. We actually have all of our webinars on the actual platform, so you can go back and watch these at any point in time. So if you go under resources and you go to cloud webinars, you can see what is up and coming. This is in my demo environment, but if we were on the real Cloud Academy platform, you'll see that for the AZ900 in particular, we have a webinar coming up on March 11th on how to pass the AZ900 with confidence. Another question here was, will you be adding career paths using Azure rather than AWS? Great question. Absolutely. And we can also create custom career paths for your organization. It's something that I've been working on quite frequently with my team. So if you go to Cloud Architect, for example, you'll see that there's some already listed here under Azure Cloud Architect or DevOps Engineer. You'll see ones that are built out on the particular technologies. All right, so that wraps up our questions. I really appreciate everyone's time this afternoon. We would love to connect with you here at Cloud Academy. I'm just going to pull up my presentation one more time. Skip ahead here. You've already introduced me. We've completed the demo, completed Q&A. The last thing I would ask, I would love for you to answer our end of webinar survey. This helps us understand what you'd like to see next and how we can use these for other customers and prospective individuals in the future. Again, thank you. My contact information is on the screen here. If you wanted to connect with me directly at any point in time, I'm happy to have a conversation and learn more about your organization and would love to meet you. Thank you everyone for your time. Hope you have a great rest of your day.